Hey folks, good evening. This is Brian. We've got another installment of the Red Book of Magic. We are in Spirit Magic Spells. We're going to do E and F with this installment. Okay, so I did go through and I marked up the new spells. There are only a couple. Compression is new, Conceal Item is new, Cool is new. And then we get to our spells, right? Okay, so Extinguish puts out a fire. Good to go. And it cools hot materials to the ambient temperature. Could be handy. 1 point extinguishes, 1 point of extinguish puts out, extinguishes a small fire. So like a candle, a small torch, which is actually pretty big, or a lantern, which is about the size of a candle again, right? Yeah. But 2 points put out a small campfire, and a torch is much less than a small campfire. In fact, I would say it doesn't need to be a small torch. It could be any size of torch, because any size torch is going to be much smaller than a small campfire, at least in my opinion. Okay, 3 points eliminates a bonfire. Extinguish An extinguished fire stays out. It must be relit. Okay. Face of Landbrill. I'm not going to file, no idea what that means, but it's a new spell. It's a self spell, right? Okay, so this disguise spell causes the caster, the user space, the caster, right, for this spell, and clothing to become exceedingly ordinary and forgettable. Likely pass unnoticed and forgotten. A search roll is allowed for an observer. You don't search by observing, you search by touching. And I talked about the search roll allows the observer, the searcher, right? Because you've got to be doing a search roll, not scanning, right? Search roll to see that, the caster has different clothing that's concealed by this spell, whether it's better clothing or worse, that kind of thing. This spell does not change sex or race. So a female troll who casts it on herself will look like a very ordinary female troll, but she will still look like a female troll, and people will notice that. Okay, false healing, another new one. It immediately but temporarily heals all damage to one hit location of the caster's choice. When the spell expires, or is dispelled, right? So 2 minutes, all the damage reappears. The spell is most often used to keep a comrade alive until we can actually do something for him, right? But it can also be used to prevent an enemy from healing themselves. Interesting. But for the duration of the spell, they've got full use of all those locations. So only after the spell they take the damage. Does that damage compound upon? Yeah, it would, because it returns, right? The damage reappears. So if you got 4-point arm, you took 4 points of damage to it, they do the false healing on it, it now has 0 damage on it, and somebody does 8 points of damage to it, when the false healing ends, that's 12 points of damage to that arm. Now an arm can only take 8, and it's not all one blow, so it wouldn't count as an amputation. Interesting. Possibilities there, possibilities. Okay, fanaticism. Cast upon a being with intelligence, has to have an INT stat, characteristic, numbers there, right? I wish it doesn't work on animals or some spirits even. Like you really want to do that to a spirit. But anyway, it increases their chance to hit by half again. So if you've got a 33%, half of 33 is 15 or 17. 17 of 33 makes 50. Half again, right? Okay. If you have fanaticism cast on you, you cannot parry or cast magic other than attack spells. Also, the spell halves your dodge skill. Goes down by half. Now, if you're casting on somebody who does not want this spell cast upon them, do the power versus power thing. Now, also, a demoralized spell will cancel a fanaticism spell. In fact, it's vice versa. I think demoralize talked about that. Demoralize. Fanaticism cancels. Yep, okay. Far C provides telescopic sight. Each point halves the apparent distance. So if they're at 100 meters, they appear to be at 50. At 2 points, they appear at 25. But that also foreshortens the field of vision. I did not realize that from before. But the caster can switch this stuff on and off whenever he wants during the duration of the spell. Has no effect on the weapon's usable range. Good to go, because the weapon can only shoot out so far, period, right? Is the fact that you're going over max distance to half again, so you're at minus 50%. Does that minus 50% represent a targeting issue, or does it represent the fact that it's just so far and they have time to react and there's wind and whatever else out there? I kind of think it might be a targeting issue, in which case far C would affect that. But I don't know. Any of you archers, let me know. Okay. Fire arrow. And having actually read this description, or having read it from this version, maybe, I didn't double check RQ2, but it's different than I thought it was. I will say that for sure. Okay. Spell is cast on an ordinary arrow, rock, or dart, which bursts into flame and is consumed as the missile leaves the hand or the bow, atlatl, whatever, sling, etc., right? Once it leaves your possession, it bursts into flame. Does 3d6 damage. I have no issue with that at all with this description. The caster's damage bonus does still apply. Conservation of momentum and mass, right? Okay. But remember, thrown weapons do half damage bonus. Okay. Fire arrow cannot impale. Good go. And it can and does, in fact, ignite flammable materials wherever it hits. Armor protects against this, and it cannot be magically resisted because it's physical damage. Spell is incompatible with multi-missile and speed dart. And I thought at first, well, why? But if you think about multi-missile specifically, the missile fires, and then magical images of the arrow appear that also do damage. The air kind of thing, right? Solidifies the air around it. So the spell is cast on the original missile. So I would say the original missile still is 3d6, but the others just do normal damage. So you could combine it, in my opinion. But speed dart, why not speed dart? Cast speed dart on your rock. It gets plus 15% to your throw, and does plus 3 damage. You huck it, turns into fire, 3d6 damage. What's wrong with that plus 3? I'm not sure why that differentiation is there. Okay, fire blade. And I know I've read it on this before, and in fact, we're going to go look at that definition again here in a minute. Okay. Any edged weapon or spear changes the weapon's damage to 3d6. That's pretty vague on what's happening, right? You still apply your damage bonus when you strike, and if the blade is just fire, like the fire arrow is just fire, you would not, because there's no mass behind it now. Okay, cannot be magically resisted because it's real physical damage. Armor does protect, and the weapon is unharmed by this magical fire. So it sounds to me like the blade is there, it's just on fire, which is how I've always envisioned it, right? Because you're getting a damage bonus, you've got mass and momentum behind your blow, so it's still there. So after some finagling that I did in my Glorantha, Fire Blade adds 2d6 fire damage to your weapon's damage. That way you don't have a dagger doing 3d6 damage and a great sword doing 3d6 damage. That make any sense to you? Okay. This spell is incompatible with Blade Sharp. I gotta ask why. And okay, here's the caveat that I was upset about with the definition of an active spell, right? Though it is an active spell, the caster must still move and attack normally. So that's half of the effects of an active spell. The other half is if anything happens to you, you need to make a concentration roll. So why not just apply that concentration roll to movement and fighting? That's kind of what I was thinking. You want to fight with this thing, you got to make a concentration roll in order to attack with it. You're in a fight. If you get hit, you got to make a concentration roll to keep it up. If you cast another spell, you got to make a concentration roll to keep it up. If you move more than a movement of 4, you need to make a concentration roll to keep it up. Which brings in a new question. What about sword trance? Because when a sword trance, it's just you and the sword. It's a trance, right? Interesting things. Okay, Food Song is new. Allows the singer, and it's a touch spell, so somebody else can be singing, that'd be you. Pick any plant needed for eating, shelter, weapons, etc. Now I'm guessing this is an Aldriami spell because it says all Aldriami are vegetarian cannibals. Okay, so whatever you're going to pick a plant to do something with, either you're going to eat it, or you're going to make shelter with it, or you're going to make a weapon out of it, etc. Right? The spell ensures the plant is unhurt, that is not offended, and if it is killed, it returns in peace to Aldria's bosom. Good to go. Sounds an awful lot like Peaceful Cut. Okay, or at least there used to be the Peaceful Cut spell. Now it's a skill, right? Okay, Forget. New spell. Causes the subject to forget events from those that took place 10 melees around. 10 melee rounds before. How about subject to forget events that took place 10 melee rounds before? The casting it up to 10 melee rounds after casting. Requires power versus power roll. The memory loss does not take effect immediately, but begins to affect the target's memory 5 minutes after the spell is cast. So when I was first reading this would be really cool for like Befuddle, right? You cast Befuddle and then you cast this Forget, and they don't know who anybody is. And you say, "Get the guy in play! Get the guy in play!" And turn, get the guy in play, right? And they actually say here that this is a good spell to throw on a victim who is already befuddled. It doesn't take place until 5 minutes after it happens. So during the fight, when the guy's actually befuddled, because 5 minutes later, befuddle's no longer active, right? Unless you extend it or something. Extend spirit spells? Let's check. Okay, but it says it's good if the guard is chasing you, right? As long as you keep that chase for going for more than 5 minutes. Because after that 5 minutes hit, he forgets about who he was chasing and why, and what the guy looked like, and what was going on, and why I'm out here on 6th Street. Yeah. I don't know. Happy gaming.